Now, the focus on Ashley Babbitt from Trump there bothers me for a couple of different reasons in increasing order. So one, he definitely doesn't give a damn about Ashley Babbitt or her death or finding out who did it. Like, if you believe that, you just gotta stop watching because I'm not gonna be able to get through to you. He doesn't care about that. The second layer could be he wants to throw people off of concern about January 6th by making them hyper focus on that thing when that is a part of it. So that's kind of annoying. The third layer is he announced this, he sent out that email kind of right around the time the commission was announced. And so one would think, oh, so then you support a commission to look into who killed Ashley Babbitt, but of course he doesn't. So it's also, there's a layer of hypocrisy to it. But the fourth reason is the real reason that he's my garbage person for having sent that. And that is that he sent out this who shot Ashley Babbitt, who shot her, right after there was a report published in the British Spectator by an author known only as Cockburn the previous evening, which suggested that the person who shot Ashley Babbitt was actually a member of former Vice President Mike Pence's security detail. In the article, it says sources close to and within the intelligence community tell Cockburn, this person refers to themselves in the third person, that Babbitt was actually shot by a member of then Vice President Mike Pence's protective detail. They note that the information was merely a theory that points to a different explanation than the idea that the individual who shot Babbitt was a Capitol police officer. And they just throw it out there. Who cares what people make of this? Who cares about the fact that the person we're now saying is kind of responsible is someone who the Republican base has already shown an intense burning desire to murder already. But for Cockburn, that's just a part of the game. And yes, I'm saying the name a lot because it's funny. So I clicked on Cockburn to see more about their profile. There's no first name, it's just Cockburn. And the like tagline is mischief, mayhem, and Washington gossip. But why shouldn't that be enough for Donald Trump? Donald Trump literally doesn't care about repeatedly and continually, viciously leading his own base to want the blood of his vice president, who remains to this day almost wholly loyal to him. Before January 6th, the morning of, Trump told the crowd that would later go on to ransack the place and chant for Mike Pence to be hung, Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done, which isn't true. But even if it were, it is highly irresponsible to send a violent mob at your vice president. Hanged, not hung. Thank you, Fonsweet. Anyway, the fact that months and months later, he's still trying to encourage people to hate and fear and be suspicious of Mike Pence as being responsible for him not being president, that is insane, and it makes him garbage. Any thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, let me just add that, by the way, it wasn't the whole idea that Mike Pence actually had the power. I think we found out earlier, of course, it came from a obviously loaded Rudy Giuliani. And so this guy, I mean, he believes anything Donald Trump does without any evidence. Oh, so Cockburn says that it was Mike Pence's security detail who shot Ashley Babbitt. Let me tell you what, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, but we're not gonna get to the bottom of this with a commission. No, I'm just gonna go direct the mob, hang Mike Pence, hang my pants. We're gonna do this. It'll be tremendous.
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be.
No.
So this is what you get with Donald Trump and with Cockburn. Now that said, those are our garbage people of the week, but what about you? Well, 11,000 of you went and voted on the community garbage person of the week, and we've got 5 for you. Coming in at number 5 with 4% of the vote, Exxon executive for accidentally revealing Exxon's lobbying secrets. That's number 5. What is going on out there? Well, number 4 with 8% of the vote is Meghan McCain for calling anthem protests a national security risk. So look, I didn't like that either, but it's twice as many votes. Number 3 with 10% of the vote is Governor Kristi Noem for using donor money to send troops to the border. Number 2 with 18% of the vote, Representative Paul Gosar for fundraising with a white supremacist. That's the story we never got to this week, but it's been produced the whole time. But your community garbage person of the week with 59% of the vote, it is Ron DeSantis for requiring professors to register political beliefs. An overwhelming victory. It would have been my choice, but I respect the will of the people. So thank you to all of you who voted, much appreciated. And thank you as well to Jeff for joining us on the Damage Report. Jeff, where can people watch more of your work?
Well, you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Waldorf Nation. We're also on Twitch, Jeff_Waldorf. We're also on Facebook, at the Jeff Waldorf Show. So we do all the multi-streaming. We do not cross the streams. We're very, very careful not to do that. Bad things are known to happen when you do that. But you can catch me on all those different things. You can also follow me on Twitter, of course, at Jeff's Politics, awesome. Where I do random crap posting.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. It's been a lot of fun. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And for those of you watching at home, thank you so much. Indisputable is coming up in just a couple of minutes, so you're definitely gonna wanna stick around for that. And I will be leading the first hour of the Young Turks Power Panel later on today with Cenk Uygur and Charles F. Coleman Jr. So please stay tuned for that as well. But until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.
Welcome to Indisputable. All right, we got a big show today. Thank God it's Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a packed program. You don't want to go anywhere. Make sure that you join by subscription. Make sure you subscribe to Indisputable TYT, Indisputable TYT on the YouTube page. It is free, it is quick, it is easy. Make sure you join live there. And we got a whole bunch of content for your viewing pleasure. A lot of great stuff. All right, on the show today, we have Daily Show co-creator and founder of Abortion Access Front, Lizz Winstead. Also, my co-host today breaking down the news, Jackson White, co-founder, editor-in-chief of Politiscope, and a Rebel HQ creator, does great work. And in the bullpen, my debate guest, Armstrong Williams, political pundit, conservative guy, entrepreneur, columnist, TV host of the Armstrong Williams show. That should be fun. We're gonna chop it up about a few items. Ladies and gentlemen, news of the day. As you are well aware, Sha'carri Richardson will not compete after testing positive for cannabis. She tested positive for marijuana. She's not the first world-class Olympic athlete to do so. She's young, and according to her, she made a mistake. After the champion, because she's still the champion to me, Sha'carri Richardson tested positive. She had her medals and her wins stripped away from her. So now she will not place for the 100-meter race, even though she's the champ, okay? She won the 100-meter Olympic trials at 10.86 seconds on June 19th. And her ban has been in discussion. Richardson, who won the 100 Olympic trials in 10.86 seconds on June 19th, spoke of her ban Friday on the Today Show. She tested positive at the Olympic trials and her result is erased. Fourth place finisher Jana Prandini is expected to get Richardson's spot in the 100. Okay, that's a big blow. I'm gonna add perspective on this show about all of this. The 21-year-old sprinter was expected to face Jamaica's Shelley Ann Fraser-Price in one of the most highly anticipated races of the Olympic track and meet. Why did this happen? Why did she smoke marijuana? Well, according to Ms. Richardson, it was because of the death of her biological mother. She was coping with that and she did something that was unwise. I'm not calling it bad. Bad means morally reprehensible. There's nothing morally reprehensible about what she did at all. I know it's disappointing to many. And did you see her grandmother when she hugged her grandmother after that victory? Believe me, grandmama talking to her. So I'm not utilizing this platform to shame our dear sister who's young and already feels like the world is judging her. On Thursday, as reports swirled about her possible marijuana use, Richardson put out a tweet that said simply, "I am human." On Friday, she went on TV and said she smoked marijuana as a way of coping with her mother's death. Can I remind you that the Olympic trials are held in Eugene, Oregon? And in Eugene, Oregon, in Oregon period, recreational use marijuana is completely 100% legal. See, this is a very teachable moment. This is a very teachable moment to highlight these dumbass marijuana laws. That's what this moment can teach us. It is not an enhancer. It does not give you a tactical, strategic, or strength advantage. These athletes are allowed to drink alcohol, but it goes back to why are we so anti-marijuana? Now, I don't smoke marijuana personally. I just don't have a beef with people who do. And it was done in a state where the use of it was absolutely 100% legal. Now, all is not lost because she does get an opportunity, perhaps, to run in the relay race because even the suspension is a minor suspension. It just happens to be during the same time that this race would have been held. It is a 30-day suspension for marijuana use. Once again, she didn't go to a foreign country and break stuff like some other Olympic athletes have done. She has not lied to the national public about anything. She was coping with the death of her mother. Here's some of that interview.
Right now, I'm just putting all of my time and energy into dealing with what I need to deal with to heal myself. So if I'm allowed to receive that blessing, then I'm grateful for it. But if not right now, I'm going to just focus on myself.
You know, what would your message be to those who are considering that right now, who are thinking about that, and to your fans, you know, who have fallen in love with you and were so proud of your performance and maybe crushed just as you are in that moment? What would you want to say to them?
I would like to say to my fans, to my family, to my sponsorship, to the haters too. I apologize as much as I'm disappointed. I know that when I submit a track, I don't represent myself. I represent a community that has shown me great support, great love. And to y'all, I failed y'all. And so I apologize for the fact that I didn't know how to control my emotions or deal with my emotions during that time. And what I would just leave with my fans, or I would just leave out there, is that, like I tweeted and said yesterday, I'm human. We're human.
That's right. She's human. We're human. She's young. And obviously, this is disappointing for her. But I don't want her to think that what she did is evil or bad. What she did was unwise, maybe, given what she wanted to do with her athletic career. But let's be very clear. What she did not try to enhance her physical capabilities. She wasn't doping. She wasn't using steroids. And she put it in good context here. Here's the next video.
Do you plan to keep running? Are you going to keep those Olympic dreams alive no matter what?
Yes, this is just one game. I'm 21. I'm very young. Unlike most, I have plenty of games left in me to compete in. And I have plenty of talent that backs me up because everything I do comes from me naturally. No steroid, no anything. This incident was about marijuana. So after my sanction is up, I'll be back and able to compete. And every single time I step on the track, I'll be ready for whatever anti-doping agency to come and get what it is that they need.
Sounds like she's resolved, learned a lesson, and put it in proper context. She's young, she's talented, she has a lot more to go. But let's not act as if people aren't celebrating this, because before any of this happened, they called her ghetto. They talked about her hair. They talked about her eyebrows. They talked about her vernacular. So keep on keeping on, sister. We got your back over here. To talk more about this and some other things, I have Jackson White. Jackson White, co-founder and editor-in-chief of Politiscope and a Rebel HQ contributor. Thank you for being on the program. How are you?
Great to be here. I'm all right, man. I'm doing as good as I can, like everybody else.
Amen to that, brother.
Appreciate you having me today.
Glad to have you on Indisputable. I want you to give us some insight to this situation, in your opinion.
So I think it's important to highlight one of the things that you actually pointed out, which was that in the state of Oregon, it's completely legal. Actually, there's only 5 states where it's completely illegal, which is Idaho, Wyoming, Kansas, Tennessee, and South Carolina. According to some of the latest Pew Research data, only 8% of American adults want it completely illegal. There's a net 91% of Americans that want it legalized, mixed between recreational and medicinal purposes. And yet and still, we're seeing cultural implications to where a woman who's perhaps the most deserving of competition can't compete. She's not able to be in the games where she likely would have either won or come very close to winning. She's 21 years old, and luckily she's strong, as we can see from her resolve, as you pointed out. And she has plenty of fight left in her and more chances. But again, this is a great example of how, even though the cultural tides have turned on this issue, even though in most of the states the issue has turned, we're still seeing organizations, have such power that they can rob people of opportunities that are this big for no real reason. So it's really.
And man, you said something powerful at the end there, and I want to make sure people caught it. No real reason. Let me highlight that for a minute. You are talking about world-class athletes, right? World-class athletes to compete based on their mental and physical capabilities. A lot of these games require strategy, they require strength, but all of them require commitment. She has proven all of those elements, given her track record, leading her to this moment in life. Now you're telling me that something that has absolutely nothing to do with enhancing your performance artificially, something that is actually completely legal in the state that she was in, something that is now, by way of public sentiment, acceptable as a cultural normality in the United States of America and beyond, she is now unable to compete. Given her track record and what she has earned, she's no longer able to compete. I say the same thing, brother. No good reason.
No good reason. And I think that this also highlights the power of the law, how slow it can change, and why it is therefore very important to be active, especially within your community, because that's where the most change occurs, and that's where the most inspiration and motivation comes from. That's, she comes from the area where these types of issues affect people the most. People who are in positions, who are in much higher places, as we all know, without getting all into that, substances are part of the human experience. Everyone has a vice of some sort, whether it's marijuana, whether it's alcohol, as you pointed out. It could be things that are less healthy. It could be things that are more healthy. But as we all know, being adults is not easy, and we all need something to cope, and it's just a regular part of life. And to pretend like she's supposed to just deal with the death of someone who's close to her and perform at such a high level, completely, within her own right and within her own self, would be treating her like she's not a human being.
There's a massive irony here. So literally, the movement to legalize marijuana in large part was based on the fact that marijuana laws, the enforcement of marijuana laws, actually impacted Black people in a way that created a disparity. You had over prosecution of these no violent or non-violent marijuana offenses, right? And so the movement was to make sure that in particular Black folk and brown folk were not unfairly criminalized because of minor marijuana usage. So we have the movement, we're somewhat successful in the movement, and then a dear sister like Sha'carri Richardson, she fights hard, works hard, commits herself. She makes it out of that particular situation to a world-class stage, and the same law, the same policy that didn't get her in her neighborhood got her on the national stage, the international stage. What irony. All right, shifting gears. Karen, this is not my I wish a Karen would. You got to stick and stay for that. This is SOHO Karen, okay? You remember this. This was one of those that just went super extreme viral, right? So now Karen has consequences. The SOHO Karen that happened back in December of last year has been charged with a hate crime. Ponsetto was at the Arlo Hotel in December when she got into a confrontation with a teen, 14-year-old Keon Harold Jr., whom she accused of stealing her phone. Video shows her grabbing at him as he tried to get away. Her phone was found soon afterward in an Uber. In addition to the charge of unlawful imprisonment as a hate crime, she has been charged with aggravated harassment and endangering the welfare of a child. She has pleaded not guilty. Let me go back. Let me go to that video for the recap so you can remember what happened.
Please. Show me this is my phone. Show me, no.
You don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off, that's mine. Literally, get it back.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world?
No, okay, then show me the, show me all my.
You get a life.
Over there, no, what's on your background?
You better go use find my iPhone. Go do that.
Find my iPhone is on.
No, you can't. No,
I'm the manager of the hotel.
I don't care.
He will,
this
right
is my
now.
son.
Hey,
didn't you see me just come downstairs out of the elevator?
I'm trying to help. Man.
No, but you're not helping.
I am.
What you've been is disrespectful.
No, I'm trying to settle the situation.
My son has nothing to do with her.
No.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the lobby.
Then show me the proof. No, he's not leaving. Show me the proof.
Are you kidding me? You better get on.
I need you away.
Let's go, kid.
I need you away.
I'm sorry.
Better get on. We have you see two Black people?
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Wait, don't fight. Better get on somewhere,
No, please
lady.
get my phone back. I cannot not have my phone.
Listen, get your phone.
The Karenicity runs deep in this one. She attacked the father and the son. She's going after both of them. Once again, don't come at me with these women are afraid of black men. I have not seen a Karen yet fearful of a black man, okay? Not one time. I don't think she's learned from her incident and aggression and criminality because she refused to take responsibility. Here's some of that to remind you.
I don't feel like this one mistake does define me, but I do sincerely from the bottom of my heart apologize that if I made the son feel as if I assaulted him or if I hurt his feelings or the father's feelings.
I don't believe one mistake defines anybody, but I think when I look at that particular video, you did more than just accuse him. The video seems to show that you physically attacked this young boy. You do see that too, right?
But at the end of the day, the dad did end up like slamming me to the ground and pulling my hair and throwing me and dragging me across the ground. So I will say that.
Yeah, but I think, the video we saw, it looked like you had just attacked his son.
Yeah, the footage shows me attacking his son. Of attacking him how? Yelling at him? Yes. Okay, I apologize. Can we move on?
No, that's not what the video shows, ma'am. The video shows you physically attacking a 14-year-old child. That's what the video shows. It doesn't show you're attacking by way of argumentation. It shows that you are attacking by way of physicality. Once again, not taking responsibility. But then she got into this bratty back and forth with Gail. Here it is.
I am a 22-year-old girl. Racism is. How is one girl accusing a guy about a phone a crime? Where is the context in that?
Miya,
what is the deeper
Miya,
story
it's
here?
not. That's not the problem. You have to at least understand your actions that day. You seem to have attacked this little boy, this young boy, this teenager. You seem to have attacked this teenager about the phone, and then it turned out he didn't even have your phone. That's the thing. I mean, you're saying, look, I'm 22 years old. You're 22 years old, but you are old enough to know better. So I will say you're 22. I get it.
Enough. The hotel did have my phone. The hotel did end up having my phone. I did get my belongings returned to me.
I mean, when a Karen goes, okay, so she says she just accused somebody of having her phone that they did not have. I want you to think about this, and we're going to reverse or switch roles for a minute. A 22-year-old black man in a hotel tells a 14-year-old white girl, you have my cell phone. The parent says, no, you have the wrong person. The 14-year-old denies it. And then the 22-year-old black male decides to trap the 14-year-old white girl, grab the 14-year-old white girl, and tell the 14-year-old white girl, you're not going anywhere. You get it now? Jackson, am I seeing this wrong, brother?
You're not seeing it wrong at all. And actually, while I was reading up on just the charges, I was thinking about how this is the same type of logic that goes into, for instance, stand your ground laws, where, based on my assumption and based on what I can end up saying is my assumption, I have the right to do whatever I want. I can put my hands on you, I can even shoot you. And then I have a defense later because I can say that I thought you were gonna do X, Y, and Z. And of course, the right-wing media is, micromanaging the focus away from the fact that this woman was out of her mind. This young woman she was tripping, just yelling all in public, screaming at people, putting her hands on this young boy. And like you said, if the roles were reversed, I mean, people would have flocked from all around to put their hands on him and to stop him. And there would have been no chance that anybody would have felt sorry for him. And I don't feel sorry for her. There's got to be some type of accountability, and she's getting it.
Yeah, and I especially don't feel sorry for her when she obviously has not been able to actually understand what she did. I have a simple philosophy, Jackson, and I tell my college students this all the time. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has a bad day or two. Everybody. Nobody is immune from that. But if you fail to acknowledge what you have done, you can never expect someone to believe you have grown from it, because acknowledgement is required for transformation. And if you cannot acknowledge what you have done, you will never be able to actually embrace a transformed mindset.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. As a 29-year-old man, I've had to learn many hard lessons that way. You can't fake it. You got to do what you got to do, and you got to be sincere. So,
yeah, good stuff, man. Great comments. We got more on the other side. Stick and stay is indisputable.
We're very honest that we're progressives. We call the Young Turks Homo progressives, and we support progressive candidates.
There has been this reemergence of political activism, especially among young people.
This weekend was the second Women's March, both across the US and across the world. So these people are not simply marching, they're not simply talking, they're also running for office. And when they do run, they're gonna make a difference.
Joe Crowley is congressman from New York. He's very powerful. Why? He raised a lot of money. But there's someone finally challenging him.
We need to have representation that advocates as fiercely for working class people as possible from this seat.
If candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even get a little bit of media attention outside of what the Young Turks does, they have an excellent chance of winning. She's gonna win, she's gonna win.
68% reporting.
The majority of Americans want Medicare for all. So I don't care what you and your corporate cronies want. What I care about is what the American people want.
We believe in total change. Everything runs on donor money. And that is what we will fight, and that is exactly why they don't like us.
We're having fun, it's election night.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has defeated Joe Crowley.
Here we go again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes Crowley. Down goes Crowley. Down goes Manafort. Down goes Cohen. Women came out in record numbers in the primaries. They said you'll be lucky to get one candidate. We now have 12 that have won their primaries. Bezos and Amazon announcing that they are going to go to a 15-hour minimum wage.
We're making progress. Let's keep going.
Many of these women made history.
The biggest victories, all women of color. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, Sharice Davids and Deb Haaland.
And I want to go to Congress because I want to change those things.
I'm calling it. Jamal Bowman has won. Down goes Engel. Down goes Engel.
For a long time, we have not had progressives in power. It's going to be something to behold.
Welcome to the Happy Hour, everybody. After a week of soul-crushing news, we break out the good stuff. Good news, good videos, good people, and of course, drink good alcohol. That's the worst thing I've ever had.
This is the best show.
Full disclosure, we did do a shot right before the show began. It says,
let's
flamingo.
Flamingo.
The reason you had trouble with that word is it's not a word. Okay, this is the one of everything.
I got a rash. Could I just put it on that to see if it'll take it off?
What did you used to think this was?
Bull piss.
Drink it, swallow it,
no.
spit it. Oh, that's needed after a day like this. Cheers to Brett Ehrlich. Climax. Uranus smells like farts. Because of course it does. This is the worst sketch ever of a perp. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They found the guy. This is Sophie's super happy dog story of the week.
This dog is so precious and deserves the world. I'm just not drinking that beer.
Here's my dog. This is Onyx.
Yeah, I would just say that he's exotic because he's not your traditional dog. Still 12 out of 10 because they're all good.
Well, if that made you happy, just wait till you see the best thing ever of the week. There is a woman who moves like a horse.
Why do I want to go home and like try this?
We're actually going to show you the running butthole challenge right now. What's happening? No, that's just wrong. Every way. And we'll see you next time.
Hey Dave, as you can probably see, Skype froze.
Yes.
Frozen crashed.
You know, I'm watching that documentary on the Vietnam War, and there was a TV journalist in the middle of some tiny little village in Vietnam doing live TV as the soldiers were burning the Vietnamese huts, and it didn't crash. And that was 1965, and he was in Vietnam.
Welcome back to Indisputable. We got a lot of viewer comments. Let's get to it. Don't forget to join the show. If you're not watching on Indisputable TYT YouTube, go there now, all right? And make sure you follow us and tag us on social media, Indisputable TYT. Good to have you. All right, TYT members, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug, says weed was originally big amongst Hispanics and was picked up by their black co-workers, so those in power criminalized it and haven't let the torch go out since. The drug war is inherently racist. It is, verifiably so, by the way. Next TYT reporter says, marijuana is only performance enhancing in a pie eating contest. Let's go to YouTube super chat. Thank you so much, Carrie Venus. Thank you for that. King T, 114,000 subscribers in less than a month, cause we appreciate you, Doc, and I appreciate you back. May Money in the building says, I will not be watching the Olympics this year. As a black competitive swimmer, I am hurt by their racist antics on the swim caps. F that. I still win my race though. There you go. That's the spirit. Ruth DG. Sha'carri, stand still or stand tall. You are a champ. She did nothing wrong. You're right. Iroquois Pliskin says, oh, Sha'carri, cough, cough, Michael Phelps, cough. Yeah. Gary Manes says, hey, Dr. Rashad, I love you and the way you think. Thanks for all you do. It is my pleasure, and thank you for all you do. Okay, let's get to Kevin Spina. I shouldn't love it, but I love the I wish a Karen would segment. I love it too. It's a guilty pleasure. Twitch, Granny Dragon. Maybe someone should start a petition for her. I think one is starting. I'm actually looking into it now. SOHO Karen comment. Fasix killer? Fashic? I don't know. Help me out on that one. About time, I hated her interview that she gave after this incident. But you know why I liked the interview? Because she was authentic, she was herself. She doesn't typically measure the way she comes across. I like that about people. I like authentic people. And they don't have to necessarily be polished. And she'll get better with stuff like that in time. I still have Jackson White breaking down all of the info with me. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to Ohio. In Ohio, there's a police chief who thought it was a good idea and just hilarious to put KKK, Ku Klux Klan, on the back of some type of uniform on a desk inside of the precinct. Now this is a white police chief and he did this to a black cop. So I want you to see this footage. There's no sound to it because it's literally the footage inside of the precinct. So here's what you see. You see that yellow thing there? I want you to pay attention to that because something's about to happen. Here's the chief. What he's putting on that yellow garment is a Ku Klux Klan, Ku Klux Klan sign, a KKK sign. That's what he's doing. Now he's put it on there, I think he may have taped it on. And here's the officer's desk, and he kind of chuckles about it. And he looks at it, chief comes out. He makes some kind of joke, hey, what, you gonna fire me now? Whatever he said, whatever goofy thing he said. But this was funny to the police chief. This was in Sheffield Lake, Ohio. Police Chief Anthony Campo has now resigned after this KKK incident on a black officer's desk. This happened last Friday. This was captured by surveillance video inside of the department's booking area. The black officer started working for the department 9 months ago. Campo told the mayor that the note was just a prank, not a big deal. He thought it was a joke. How can you possibly think that you could put something on somebody's jacket like that, and especially if they were African American, and think it is a joke? This is the most egregious and offensive thing you could possibly do, and it's embarrassing and disgusting. Yes, that comes from the sheriff. There was a complaint that followed afterward. Sheffield Lake Law Director David Graves brought the incident to Bring's attention, who's the sheriff, Tuesday, and characterized it to the mayor as really serious. The union that represents the police brought a harassment complaint to Graves' office. Bring went straight to Campo's office after learning about the incident. This is how Campo reacted to the news. I came into the chief's office and he's standing there with a smile on his face. Bring said, he goes, so am I fired? Campo then announced he wanted to resign effective immediately, used his computer to type his resignation letter, and left. Yeah, he's gonna be able, it looks like he may be able to preserve his retirement benefits. This is just insane, but let me remind you of something. And here's the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that person is in charge of other police, completely disconnected, completely insensitive to the reality of racism inside of policing, to where he's willing to put a KKK sign on a black officer's desk. But there was something else that I reminded of when it comes to insensitivity. There was a white cop that pulled over a white woman. And when the white woman said, listen, I don't want to move my hands because I want to make sure everything's okay. He tells the white woman, oh, don't you know, we only kill black people. Here it is.
The video shows a Cobb County, Georgia police officer talking to a woman in a car he pulled over on a traffic stop. She's unwilling to move her hands, afraid, she says, of getting shot, and he tells her, don't worry.
But you're not black. Remember, we only kill black people. Yeah, we only kill black people, right? All the videos you've seen, have you seen any white people get killed?
See, the problem is because they think it's a joke, it's never taken seriously, and there is no remedy in the culture of law enforcement. That is the problem. They laugh at it rather than analyze it to be better. Jackson, what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, my favorite part of the whole video was how the brother came in and laughed at it. Because even though the overall situation isn't funny, it shows how inadequate these people really are in real life, such that all of their actions derive from that general sense of insecurity and inadequacy. This guy who's supposed to be a member of the superior race, as he waddles in and puts this sign on this jacket like a 12 or a 13-year-old. Like he's not a full-grown adult, like he doesn't understand right and wrong, like he doesn't understand professionalism or the implications of his actions. And and as you were saying, such that a guy pulls over a woman, he says, we only kill black people. Are you joking? Are you not joking? The data reveals that more or less, more so than not. So I just, stories like this to me just reveal how these people shouldn't be taken seriously. The issue should be taken seriously, but we need to be stronger than them. And I think we can be.
Yeah, and I got some words for the black officer. And I thought about this because I don't want to make him a villain in this story because he's really a victim in this story. But when he came back and he chuckled at it, let me be very real about what that is. He didn't like it. He didn't enjoy it. But he's in a system to where he feels compelled to figure out how to desperately fit in. And so his response was to chuckle. Now later, there was obviously an actual complaint. This became a big deal, and it's still a big deal. Even right now, it's a big deal. But that one part where you're not comfortable enough to say, you see this right here, Chief? Now this here gotta stop. Now you either give me an apology now, or we're gonna have some problems. See, that should have been the response immediately, right? Or an immediate complaint filed. But he had to think about it because of the culture that he exists in. He doesn't exist in the culture of justice. They just say that. He doesn't exist in the culture of law and order. They just promote that. He doesn't exist in a culture that believes right is right and wrong is wrong. He exists inside of a clique. I'm from Glenwood Road. We would call that a gang. And when the gang leader does something, you don't say anything about it. And the chief was the gang leader. Let's call it what it is. And he was in this predicament. But eventually it comes out and it got exposed, and the chief has resigned. But this is problematic, not only in policing, but even in corporate jobs all across this country, where you have black and brown people, you have females, you have other individuals who have historically been marginalized, who are not heard or taken seriously in the culture of that industry.
Absolutely agreed, and definitely appreciate that additional perspective, because it wasn't just as hollow as him laughing at it like this dude. But again, as you said, it really transpires into just the corporate world and how we have to conform and we have to be more like instead of being ourselves, which takes away our authenticity and our ability to really provide change in any type of environment. So,
yeah. Well said. You know, the idea from day one was never to become a melting pot. That wasn't their real idea. Their idea wasn't unity, it was assimilation. They didn't want you to have your differences celebrated. They wanted your differences to evaporate and you to become what they are. You are independent, that's a problem. You are bold and aggressive with what you believe, that's a problem, because that is antithetical to being assimilated. And so we're promoting diversity, true diversity in this country. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Karen goes international. You know what we do. We highlight the Karens of the world. You know why? Because Karens are dangerous. Let me introduce you to the international Irish Karen. Here's some background to this. There's a guy who is speaking Spanish. So it seems as if, according to the Irish Karens, and it's two of them, you get double dose, he should not be speaking Spanish where they are. And they have a problem with him just speaking Spanish. Karenism is not limited to the United States. Here's the Karen confronting the man about having the audacity to speak Spanish.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
Keep talking, you're being paid for.
I'm paying taxes here.
Are you paying taxes?
I'm paying my rent, I pay my student. Why are you trying to like me?
Because you're a big immigrant, you don't belong here.
No, I don't belong.
Yeah, so what you don't belong here.
But what's your problem with that?
Because you're an immigrant and you were born in a different country.
But why? I'm not stealing nothing. I'm paying taxes. Yeah, I'm paying. What do you think about that? What's your problem?
What's
your problem? What's your problem? Yeah, tell me. What's your problem? You tell me. Yeah, what's your problem? I'm paying taxes. Yeah. What's your problem? What's your problem? What's your problem? Bueno, ustedes las vieron, chicos. Yo soy mexicano.
Okay, let me point out the second Karen that approached it. Horrible fail by putting your hand like here, trying to hide yourself. We can see it all. We saw everything. Okay, horrible fail. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work. Interesting. Do we have the part where the Mexican guy talks about what happened, just briefly? Okay, all right, we're trying to get that commentary up. So obviously, what you see is once again bigotry and racism, aggression, because a person is different, because a person is talking in their native tongue. It creates this kind of reaction from two, not one, but two individuals who just don't like it. Jackson?
I think that this really highlights how people are people everywhere. And no matter what time period you look at, we've always primarily pretty much been the same. And how this is a result of lack of knowledge and just lack of experience, and how dangerous that can be within us, such that, as you pointed out, just hearing another language can trigger you to such a point that you're just impulsive without a plan, walking up to, what will come of walking up to someone and screaming at them and telling them to leave and putting your hand on? Are they just gonna disappear? Are they gonna move out of the country because of that? And again, ultimately, it just highlights the just general insecurity that comes along with being in that type of mindset. Such as someone who speaks 2 languages instead of 1, you look and think they're less than you. You look and you believe that they shouldn't be here, that they don't belong, that they don't have a place, and they threaten your place within where you believe is home. So, it's just ridiculous and not a problem that's unique to America. It's a human problem that has to be combated against worldwide.
Yeah, well said, man. Very well said. And the guy at the end of the video, he basically says, listen, I'm Mexican and we shouldn't have to put up with stuff like this. And I completely concur and agree with that brother 100%. Let me talk about a sheriff sergeant, because I guess this is a new thing that police officers are doing. So this is in Alameda County, California. A sheriff sergeant blasted Taylor Swift's Blank Space in a clear attempt to keep any recording of him from being uploaded to YouTube. So as you know, YouTube has these copyright and trademark rules as it relates to music. So he's being recorded and he decides to take his cell phone and he cranks up the Taylor Swift music, places it on his body and just lets it play because he wants to make sure, and he said it, he wants to make sure that nobody can upload the recording on YouTube. Now here's the problem I have with that. You are a taxpayer funded government worker. You are on the job. If you are doing your job, you should be completely okay with somebody in the public legally recording you doing your job so well, because you would be a great benefit to the narrative that says there are good police in the world if you're doing good policing. But instead you have now employed this particular tactic. Let me go to the parts that we can go to.
Concern that you have that someone's gonna trip on this man. You can't keep this.
Let's go back to the beginning. It was on the walls, right? And you moved it from the walls. Now you put it here.
I'm just trying to.
What is the difference?
And it works. It actually works, because when he turned the music on, which was just now, I can't even play it on my damn show. So it does work. So when the audio was cut, here's what happened. Sheriff Sergeant begins playing Taylor Swift from his cell phone. James, who's the dude you see, says, so you're saying we should put it back on the wall, referencing the banner. The sergeant says, what is the difference? James then comes back and says he can't ignore the fact Taylor Swift, T Swift, is playing right now. Are we having a dance party right now? The sergeant says, no, sir. Rebecca, she's the one recording. Are you playing pop music to drown out the conversation? The sergeant says, no. James says, he doesn't want you recording, so he's playing music in the background. Rebecca says, why? Why do you have to hide? The deputy says, you can record all you. I just know it can't be posted to YouTube. There's a lot of back and forth with this. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office, they are now investigating the matter. When asked about the video, a spokesperson for the Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Ray Kelly, said that both the video and complaints have been sent to an internal affairs unit for investigation. While the office has no policy that governs whether you can play Taylor Swift or music in an attempt to censor YouTube content from a public encounter, Kelly said personnel will be made aware that is not acceptable moving forward. We'll see what happens. But once again, people wonder, why do folks get upset at police officers? Because not just the horrible bad apples that exist, but because of stuff like this. Really? This is how you play games with citizens that you're sworn to protect and serve? Jackson, what are your thoughts?
Well, when you really, as you can't play it on this channel or else things will be demonetized and taken down. You know, when you look at that video in its entirety, he looks like he thinks he's so clever and like they just got you. And he can't help but hide that energy and that feeling while he's in a position of authority that can shoot you and get away with it more so than not. And you know, this really highlights how authority of any kind will not and does not go down easily. Law enforcement in this country has the capability to frame people. It has the capability to coerce people. It has the capability to take people's lives and get away with it. And they're well aware that there's a growing sentiment that there needs to be more levers of balance and responsibility within the system. And methods like this are being taken just so that you can't even put them on YouTube, because that shows that they're well aware of what they do. And yeah, so it's really a shame, but it's a dangerous shame.
Yeah, he's going on YouTube today though. I guarantee you he will be on my YouTube channel today for everybody's viewing pleasure. Brother, it has been remarkable having you on Indisputable. Tell people how they can follow you, follow your work.
Oh yeah, I'm the co-founder, editor-in-chief of Politiscope. It's an app that helps you understand who's in office, what they vote for, how that legislation affects your life. We help people register to vote. We help people participate in the process, and we got some great features coming soon. Follow us at Politiscope app on Twitter and Instagram. Download the app, available on iOS and Android devices. It's been great being on here with you as well, Dr. Richie, and look forward to doing more work with you in the future.
Same here. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate you, brother.
All right.
We got more on the other side. Stick and stay. It's Indisputable.
Can you name the representative of your district?
The representative of my district, oof.
I have no idea.
I actually don't know who the representative of my district is.
Do you know what the corporate tax rate is?
I think it's pretty high. I should know this.
Like in between 20, 25%. I don't know.
How many amendments are in the US Constitution?
Oh no.
This brings me back to grade school.
I should know this because I was a history major, but I do not remember.
I don't know that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no clue. Nope. I don't know the answer to that one.
You don't know? I didn't know. It's time to change that. We live in the best country in the world. We live in the most powerful country in the world. We love our American freedom, but only half of us take part in the political process. Only half of us vote. We don't fulfill our duties as US citizens to make this country a better place. It's time that we use our voices as a team, as a country, to become better. We will stand up. We will be empowered. We will stay educated and informed about politics every single day, because it's our responsibility. And Politiscope just made it easy for you. So join me, join us, and let's be Americans.
How in the world are you going to get the right to vote if you don't already have the right to vote? That's impossible. Reason they tell you things are impossible is because they don't want you to try. It only took 7 years for that to get an amendment to get a right to vote.
Does this result in millions upon millions of Americans losing their coverage? And we've been waiting to find out, and now we know, yes, it will cut millions.
Public education was supposed to be the way to equalize everyone regardless of their socioeconomic status. But if you come from a family that's poor, how are you going to afford grade school for your kids?
This fight is about fairness and morality. It's about the American values.
You think that black people all across the country, in every city, were all lying when they said the police abuse us and the police kill us when they should? No, of course they weren't lying. Yes, it does happen. Yes, they do get targeted more.
Why are we going to put immigrants in prison for 5 years, which American taxpayers have to pay for if we're so concerned with immigrants using up our so-called resources.
We're gonna do both. We're gonna fight Trump and we're gonna fight the establishment. It's not that hard. Yes, you can do both at the same time. Go tell them.
ShopTYT.com has new shirts like this one. And you're thinking, Cenk, what is that one? I can't see it other than the black. Yes, so I'll show it to you. If you can read this, you're not practicing social distancing. Yes! Now, you were practicing social distancing. This is over video. But overall, you get it. ShopTYT.com.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Let me read some of these viewer comments. We got a lot of them. I can't get to all of them. Make sure you follow us on social media, Indisputable TYT. TYT member Cognitive Dissonance is a hell of a drug says, I can only imagine the black officer laughing because of the power imbalance. Quote, ha ha ha, racism. And you seem to think it's funny, so I better laugh so I can keep my job. Exactly. YouTube super chat. Magdalene Moon says, does Irish Karen not remember what the British did to them? Preach, Dr. Richie. Hashtag one love. One love back to you. Excellent point. Lilu Dragonfly, thank you for that. King T says, hit him, Doc. Racism is all around the world, like Shock G would say. That's right. Twitter. Rob Lobster 120. The fact that makes me queasy is the sheer amount of Karens in the world that we can see a new video every single day. Yep, that's the point. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a remarkable guest on the show, Lizz Winstead, Daily Show co-creator and founder of Abortion Access Front. Welcome to Indisputable.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're on the show. The first thing I have to ask you about is this Daily Show. No, not the Karens. We can do that next show. We got loads of time for that, believe me. But the Daily reunion, the Daily Show reunion, that's hot. Tell us about that.
So it's the 25th anniversary of the Daily Show, which blows my mind. And when I was talking to my co-creator, Madeline Smithberg, who one of the things we lament about often is most folks don't know that 2 women created the Daily Show. Most folks don't know that the Daily Show was launched 3 years before Jon Stewart took it over. And so we thought, to celebrate these 25 years, Madeline and I are getting together the original correspondence, and we're gonna show some clips. We're gonna have this conversation because we're the only folks who can actually tell the story of how this insane show got on the air and what we had to go through, and this ragtag cast of people that we had, small staff, no money. I mean, cable was the Wild West back then, right? And so a lot of creative folks were like, well, we have the options of going into network television and making a bunch of money and selling our souls to the advertisers, or you could go into cable realizing that you'd make less, but you'd have more creative freedom. That's certainly changed now, but it really did allow us to set the foundation for a show that lasts 25 years that has done more, I think, to expose the hypocrisy of corporations, politicians, and the media itself than maybe anything else.
Hands down, I agree with that sentiment 100%. When did it become this beautiful combination of politics, comedy, satire delivered with 100% authenticity? When did that happen?
I think that part of it happened at the beginning because I had been somebody who had been a student of the media. I started kind of out as a regular stand-up comic, right? And I was doing observational humor, always had some politics, didn't really bring it to the stage. But when that first Gulf War happened in 1991, And I watched, CNN was the only network on at the time, only cable network. And I watched them all of a sudden have a theme song, all of a sudden have like, hot correspondence replacing like the old guard graphics. And I remember watching the first night of the Gulf War, I was at a bar. And I remember thinking to myself, are they reporting on a war or trying to sell me a war? And so from that point on, I became somebody who profoundly watched the media buy into all of it and wanted to from the beginning and said to the network, the show itself and the media itself has to be a character. And they said, go for it. And so then we just followed the trends in media. And what was really interesting was when we launched, there was just CNN. It was July of 1996. At the end of July, MSNBC launched, and in October, Fox launched. So then we were just following a whole bunch of media sludge without a whole bunch of planning on how you were gonna actually be good at having a 24-hour media channels. So we just followed it along and satirized it all along the way.
Amazing, remarkable. I know we only have a few minutes, so I gotta get to Abortion Access Front. Something near and dear to your heart. Tell viewers what that's about.
So this amazing show is benefiting this organization, and Abortion Access Front is a nonprofit started by activists, comedians, artists, writers, people in the entertainment industry who wanted to take the issue of access to abortion, abortion health rights and justice, and center it because it is the most over-legislated thing that's happening in America today and the most underreported. And so we wanted to create an organization that both does the media's job and then also does some care for patients and providers and the activists who are working to preserve this right.
Remarkable, good stuff. For those who would like to join into the festivity of this reunion, how can we do so?
So easy, you go to rushtix.com, and that's TIX. So it's rushtix.com, it's where the show is gonna stream, and it's where you can get all the tickets and all the information. July 19th.
Beautiful, how can people follow you?
Follow me all over the socials at Lizz Winstead. I spell my name with 2 Z's, and you can follow our work at Abortion Access Front at Access Front.
Lizz, it has been a pleasure having you on Indisputable. And let me say this, I speak collectively for so many people. Thank you for bringing us one of the great American joys, The Daily Show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, we got more on the other side. It's Indisputable. Stick and stay for the bullpen with Armstrong. That's coming up next.
You know, old school's pitched to me from Jank. It'll just be me, you, Jesus, Ben, and maybe Michael. And we're like, okay, cool. I can do that every week. As you can see, me, Jesus, Ben.
When you make the order, it says, don't exceed $20.01. So I'll just order literally anything to get it as close to that as I possibly can.
I'm sorry that I ordered $45 worth of food and got an email saying, sir, would you like to rethink that? What are you talking about?
I was in hell. I was just like, oh my God, the theater's empty, nobody's here. Everyone on screen keeps fucking cursing. Why did I let this happen? And the whole thing looks like it was shot through a glass of milk. My mom's gonna be so mad.
If you're looking for a heart attack, the short way, baby.
Wrong, I did put mayonnaise on it. I'm the most in shape, overweight person you'll find.
That's right.
He was like, why didn't you answer my call? I called you 39 times. Yuck. But what makes you stop right before 40? You know, what makes you say, nah, man, I ain't doing that no more. I'm cool.
And I called you back on the air. And I was like, okay, Kevin Smith, big shot. What the you said you'd come on and you didn't come on.
I'm sure I took that very well.
Yeah, you did. You called me back the next day and said, I thought it was 7 a.m. There's now deep fake porn. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
Heard of it? I just had some in the car.
I'll tell you who I'm not f***ing, Ben Mankiewicz.
Have you guys ever felt that?
Not ever.
And now it's just the three of us.
This is the intimate hour.
By the way, the last half hour of this, we're not even rolling.
Fair enough.
Hey, man.
Kingsley.
See, I watch movies.
I'm done with both of you.
Once Greg starts laughing, I can't stop. And I was just gonna ask you about getting high.
Snoogans, Snoochie Boochies. And members, of course, you can get the whole damn thing. TYT.com, join and free trial.
I'm old school with the old folks.
John, come back.
Get ready for it.
Electric cars are awesome, but they aren't the best tool for every job. You can't park them on the edge of the sidewalk while you run into the store for a few things. On top of that, an electric car is just financially out of reach for many people. That's where Zoom electric scooters come in. When I say electric scooter, I'm talking about small motorcycles with space in front of you to put your feet. The Zoom scooter has a range of 60 miles, offers a smooth ride up to 40 miles per hour, and can be charged from any electrical outlet. Start saving on gas while reducing your carbon footprint. To find out more, go to tyt.com/Zoom. Enter the code TYT50 to get an additional discount.
I'm Brett. I would like to refer to this segment as the Do I Still Have This Talent show. So I want to see if I can play harmonica without my hands. I don't know why I have that. Nothing's gonna be more impressive than that. I can also spin a basketball on my finger. While drinking. I'm gonna spin a basketball on my finger while drinking apple juice. You can do this, dude. It's also flat. I don't know if that helps or hurts. And it seems to be somewhat wobbly. Ta-da! Nope, I don't know how to do this one. This one's a fail. Nope. Oh God, I'm so mad.
Our community faces a never-before-seen public health and economic crisis. Businesses are calling Levin Papantonia with their legal questions regarding COVID-19. You've asked and we've answered. If you're a business owner and have suffered financial loss or closure from COVID-19 and have questions regarding your insurance policy, call us for a free consultation. Some policies may provide coverage for lost profits and earnings. Stay safe, and together we'll get through this.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Let me read some of these viewer comments. Remember to follow us on Indisputable TYT, Indisputable TYT. Join that YouTube page. We're at 114,000 subscribers. We're 3-4 weeks in. We're now going after 200,000, obviously. All right. Let's go to Twitch. Dragon Penny says, thanks, Doc, for bringing Liz on the show. I did not know her story. Amazing. It is amazing. I'm gonna try this one. Tahira Kathleen. If I got that right, I deserve points. All right. This is a very important nonprofit, and please support it. It is a very important nonprofit. You are completely correct. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, I have Armstrong Williams, political pundit, entrepreneur, columnist, TV host of the Armstrong Williams Show. He's been in the game a long time. Mr. Williams, welcome to Indisputable.
My pleasure.
Let's get right into it. I want to talk about voting rights and voting access. Obviously, you are well aware of what's happening with government policy, state laws in reference to voter rights or voter restriction. Most of these new policies have been introduced by way of the big lie. That's the premise for much of it. So do you believe that Donald Trump had the election stolen? I don't want to presume anything. Do you believe he got beat or had the election stolen?
He lost.
Okay, and the legislation that has been promoted by those in the Republican Party based on the false pretense that there was somehow some malfeasance in the election. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you're always having debate on reform election laws. That debate took place when Al Gore lost to Bush. It took place when Mrs. Clinton lost. I mean, you're gonna always have questionable balance, questionable issues when it comes to the elections, where the integrity and the credibility is questioned. But overall, I think the American voting system is overall pretty good, and very few people are denied the basic right to vote, and that their vote count. Anytime you have an election that is very close, like the two aforementioned, and then President Trump, the difference is that former Vice President Al Gore could have prolonged and had a protracted process, even after the Supreme Court's decision. But he decided to become a statesman and do the honorable thing, accept his loss, and hopefully that the system would be improved in the future, and it was. The same with Mrs. Clinton. They wanted her to stand her ground, not back down, not concede. And she said, for the good of the country, I'm gonna concede so this country can heal and we can move on and continue to be that example of democracy. The president, the former president of the United States, former President Donald Trump, was quite different. He whipped the country into a frenzy even before the election, setting the dynamic in place, saying, if I don't win, it's because of the flawed election system in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Florida and Arizona and Nevada and these other key battleground states. You're always gonna find some malfeasance with the election. That's just gonna always happen. What should have happened was, and I give Mitch McConnell credit, he waited until the Electoral College made their ruling around December 7th before he said this was over. Joe Biden is the president of the United States, but former President Donald Trump is just a different kind of person. He did not want to concede. He felt that he was bigger than the process himself. He allowed his voters to allow this to be dragged out with lawyers to make them believe that in places like Georgia and other places that there's this process and to steal the election and overturn the will of the people. And what was more unfortunate about this is that he had Republicans in the Senate and in the House who did not have the backbone and to stand up and say, Mr. President, we cannot continue this long protracted process where we continue this, where people feel disenfranchised. And then you had what happened on January 6th at the Capitol. And so he just was not a big person where he was able to concede and take the loss and say, listen, I've lost this election, let me move on and build a party and build the country in a different way.
Armstrong, you and I, we agree on more today than we probably did 5 years ago. And it's quite ironic. I don't agree with conservative policy typically, okay? But let's talk about some things we do agree on. We agree that Donald Trump set the trap basically, because he was saying the same thing when he ran for president the first time. He was saying, listen, if I don't win, it's rigged against me. And then he utilized the same methodology in his reelection bid. He said, oh, if I don't win, that means that they cheated, it's rigged against me. So he was willing to be this guy from day one. Why do you think he was able to fundamentally transform the Republican Party in one term, being one man?
Well, listen, you have to, the interesting thing, Dr. Richie, is that Donald Trump has always been the same person who ran for president of the United States. I mean, there was nothing about him that ever changed. I mean, you could never call him a hypocrite.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you expect it to? Because some people thought, okay, he's putting up an act and he's gonna become more presidential. Remember that terminology? There was a, can he be presidential, can he be presidential? And so, and he actually, during the campaign, he did some things that were presidential-like and he didn't really like it. And the sign in his campaign office was, let Trump be Trump. Everybody who worked for him had to first see that sign and agree to it, let Trump be Trump. Did you expect him to pivot in any way, or did you expect him to govern precisely like he campaigned?
Well, listen, let me just say this. Obviously, I've known the former president for quite some time. I still have respect for him. I felt he did a lot of good for the country, for the economy, even foreign policy. There are a lot of things I respected about him. But the Trump that you speak of that gave you hope was the Trump that was on teleprompter when it was scripted.
Right.
That Trump was not who Donald Trump really was. And if there was a singular theme, Dr. Richie, for the Donald Trump presidency, it was its tendency for his supporters and his critics to judge it on the character and behavior and the personality and the tweets of the president, and not the substance and the impact of his policies. And so as such, more people were caught up in the personality and the wild stuff he says, referring to them as SOBs, and the things that he would say that would just make you want to just say, oh my God, this is not presidential. This is not what we expect from the president of the United States. But this is who he always was. And so I've always believed, now if he were probably in his 30s and 40s, there's a possibility that people can transform and change. It's very difficult to change someone who's over 60 years old, and particularly when they become 70. I mean, look at your grandparents and your great-grandparents. People are set in their ways. It's just not gonna happen. And for the media to set up the dynamics that this is a possibility for Donald Trump was another disservice. He could change, and he's still the same person now, even though the Southern District of New York only filed charges as it related to the Trump organization, the Purge. They did not go after his family. They did not go after him. And he's still using this as a victory lap to somehow further his narrative that the elections were stolen. He doesn't even have the humility or the capacity to say, you know what? Maybe I did contribute to some of what happened to me. Maybe I should take responsibility and do what's better for the country. And
man, come on, never. He would never do that. So here's the thing, brother. What in the hell are y'all going to do? And let me put it this way. Let me put some context here. Because I actually want the Republican Party to get it together. Let me tell you why I want you to get it together, the conservative movement. It's needed. Because when you have a party that's so far out there now, where the conspiracy theorists, the QAnon folks, the insurrectionists are controlling the leadership class. They're not just controlling a segment inside of the Republican Party. They're controlling the leadership class to where the leadership class is afraid to come out against the obvious lies and the rhetoric, etc. When that happens, the Democrats, in particular the corporate Democrats, they will become so attractive to the average voter that they will start taking votes for granted even more, because there's no other game in town, brother. There's no game in town whatsoever. So that is problematic in the system of democracy, to not have the common push and pull of individuals fighting for process and policy. That's the risk.
I'm gonna push back on you, Doctor.
Okay.
Let me push back on you. Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has been unapologetic, unafraid, and has shown nothing but backbone to push back on Donald Trump and his narrative.
No, sir.
Yes.
I will respond when you finish, brother.
And Liz Cheney, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, she's pushed back. She
has for sure.
She's not faulted when it came to this January 6th commission.
But you only had two. You only had two that voted for it, brothers. Only two Republicans.
Those are two very important voices in the Republican Party. And yes, they're not enough. But listen, Mitch McConnell has, I mean, look at the kinds of things that Donald Trump says about Mitch McConnell. Look at the kinds of things he says about Liz Cheney. Even Bill Barr in his most recent book, I'm reading now, said that Donald Trump's push on election fraud was BS. He said,
right, yes, but he didn't say it while he was Department of Justice.
He said it, but
he eventually said, right, he said it when he was no longer getting a paycheck. You're right, Armstrong. When that paycheck stopped being signed, brother, he did say it. You're correct, brother.
He said John Bolton has never backed down from pushing back on Donald Trump.
Okay, let me respond to some of this.
Okay.
Let me respond to some of this. First of all, John Bolton went on Fox News for a whole damn year interviewing to become a worker under Donald Trump, because I think Bolton is a smart dude, by the way, but he has not found a brown country he does not want to bomb. That's who John Bolton is. Bolton went on Fox News, became a contributor there for about a year, basically promoting himself to become an official with the Trump administration. He got the job. I think he knew from day one Trump was not a true believer in anything. I think he knew from day one Trump is not the real conservative guy, that he's corrupt at heart, that he believes he's bigger than democracy. But Bolton had a master plan. What was that master plan? Bolton is now a real multimillionaire, not a single-digit millionaire. He's a real multimillionaire because he went there, did the job, worked, and wrote a book. It comes out, he gets an insane advance, and I think he planned it from day one. Let's talk about Mitch McConnell, because I can't let you just say that statement about McConnell without rebuttal? McConnell is the same cat, and I don't understand how McConnell defies medical science because he literally stands up with no backbone every day. Mitch McConnell is the guy who said, okay, the blood is on your hands, Mr. President. I mean, when Mitch McConnell said that, I'm looking back like, damn, I wish he would have had this kind of courage when Trump still had real power. But he didn't. Now, even though he said that, he then backed away from supporting the impeachment. And remember, brother, the impeachment is because Trump deserves it. He deserves, as crazy as he was as president, he deserves the history books to say, you got impeached twice. He deserves that. Would you not agree?
The process is what it is. But here's the thing that you're neglecting to me, Dr. Richie. Impeachment is a political tool.
It is, yes. It's not a prosecutorial tool, that's right.
It's a political one. And there were Republicans and Democrats who are so afraid and disgusted with Donald Trump and the power that he has, wanted to make sure that he had no chance of running for president again in 2024. And so yes, Donald Trump has a lot of sway over the Republican Party. He still has a lot of sway or someone like Kevin McCarthy, even though Kevin McCarthy talked about that troubling conversation he had with him on January 6th when they were inside of the Capitol and he was trying to get the president to go on national TV to ask his supporters to back down because they felt very threatened. And they mentioned the fact that his vice president was in the US Capitol and the president never asked how he was doing. And still yet, even after all that, where it's revealed to him some of the character of the president, he still tries to find a way to support him. But I just wanna say this, I wanna come back to Mitch McConnell because you asked a very important question, Dr. Richie. And I think we should have these discussions because listen, all conservatives, I'm a conservative, I'm a third generation Republican, but listen, you cannot grow the party. And remember this, it's gonna take 2 to 3 election cycles before Donald Trump's personality is completely eliminated from this party. It's gonna take 2 or 3 election cycles.
I think that's at least. I think it may actually take more, but that's at least.
At least, that's still packing. But let me just remind your viewers this, and I'm so appreciative of being on, why people still support Donald Trump. It's not just because of his personality. There is this massive deregulation saving the average American household over roughly $3,100 a year. People don't really break this stuff down. He passed the tax cuts and the Jobs Act. He took America out of the Paris Climate Accord, no matter whether you agree with it or not, and he also took them out of the Iran nuclear deal. He built up the American military. He recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. He brokered the normalization pacts and peace deals in the Middle East with his Abraham Accords. He constructed, whether people want to criticize it or not, because you look at the disaster at the border now, more than the 400 miles of the new wall alongside the Mexican border, and his immigration policies work. He revised the immigration policies, leading to a dramatic drop in these border crossings. And he also increased the commitment to domestic energy. And he replaced NAFTA, which did not really work, with USMCA. And it nominated and confirmed more than 200 federal judges. In addition, so I just want,
and I'm glad you offered that because you do provide context. And Armstrong, I respect the fact because you got a whole lot of Republicans, they don't know what you just said. I mean, they support him, but you actually bring some policy dynamic to the table. So let me give you a rebuttal to some of that policy dynamic. Some of that stuff I just completely disagree with based on a policy core, but there are people on your side of the political aisle they completely agree with, right? So that's the reason why they are excited, in part, to vote for this individual based on personality, as well as some of those policies that I believe take us the wrong way. Let's be clear about some policy that impacted black folk. He signed this executive action that said we're gonna increase funding for HBCUs in a record way. Well, that mandate never got properly funded. I'm a graduate of an HBCU. I lecture at an HBCU. I got a doctorate from an HBCU. Those presidents of those HBCUs who were used as a photo op had to say in secret, this administration did not help us. Now, in fairness, neither did President Obama. I've said on my radio show, President Obama was no friend of HBCUs, but neither was Trump. He simply proclaimed to be. He also defunded the federal TRIO program. What is the federal TRIO program? And I know you know this, brother. Educational Talent Search and Upward Bound. Those programs are used significantly by HBCUs to be conduits for underserved communities and black students getting into college for the first time. He defunded that program. That was a huge blow. That grant money was required, the lifeline for many HBCUs around the country. And let's talk about criminal justice reform, because people like to talk about the act that he signed, which was a continuation of what President Obama did. Obama just didn't do it all the way, and he should have. So I can be critical of that. But on the other side of that act was him defunding reentry programs through the federal government, him eliminating the federal Pell Grant inside of federal prisons, him doubling down to protect federal prisons in the United States of America and not to eliminate them. And let's talk about household median income. Household median income for black families actually decreased under Trump, as well as home ownership for blacks. Now, did black people have more technical employment under Trump? Yes, but the number was trajecting in the right direction in the first place. But let's be clear about their ability to pay wages. While they had more technical employment, that was based on a U3 rating system rather than a U6 rating system. The Trump administration used a U3 rating system that said, based on every 30-day survey, if you worked 1 hour in 30 days, the administration reported that you were employed. A U6 rating system contextualizes the data and says it's seasonal, it's contractual, it pays the bills or not. But they use the U3 system. But go ahead, brother, I'll let you respond.
But I think you said something that's even deeper than the understanding that you're conveying here. And whether it was the Obama administration or the Bush administration or the Trump administration or the Biden administration now, if you're on the bottom rung of the economic ladder, if you're already poor and disenfranchised, whether you lived in Appalachia, whether you lived in the inner city, whether you live in the deep South, those policies and those programs are going to impact you more so than anyone else. And if you and I are very candid about this, if you're in the upper middle class or well off before any of these elected officials come into office, 8 times out of 10 times you will be. There's not really much that the government really does, Dr. Richie, to move people out of poverty and to move them out of their circumstances. The one thing I do give Trump credit for, particularly with historical black colleges and these land grant institutions, and particularly with their entrepreneur programs and these business set-asides at SBA, he did understand the importance of creating minority ownership, sort of like what President Nixon gave us during his heyday of affirmative action, minority set-asides, because the best way that you can really make a difference is in your communities, is that you empower them through ownership. And also, even Dr. Ben Carson's these opportunity zones where you go in and rebuild these communities through mental health by creating people with more skills, by having people in there tutoring them and going back to this sort of this vocational school, because not everyone is cut out to go to a 4-year college, but there are skills that they need to learn. So yes, we can always piecemeal with past administrations on things that may have benefited the poor or may not have, but in all reality, the government really doesn't do much to change the direction.
Well, let me give some rebuttal to that. Let me give a little rebuttal to that, because what you just named is a government program. Opportunity Zones is a government program. It creates a tax abatement to allow investors to come in at a reduced tax rate to invest in the local community. Well, if you do it incorrectly, you can artificially inflate the property value around you, and it leads to gentrification or displacement. So you have to be thoughtful about how you implement that government program. So you can't say government can't do much when you just named a government program that can do a lot, right? So my second point.
Let me respond to that.
Go ahead.
The government is well-intentioned.
Okay.
There's some things that the government does get right. We agree.
Okay. Let me read some overall stats about, and this is a 30-year collection of Democratic presidents and their policies versus a 30-year collection of Republicans and leadership presidents and their policies. Under Democratic presidents, black families' incomes grew an average of $895 a year, but grew only by $142 under Republican presidents. The black unemployment rate fell by a net of 7.9% across 26 years of Democratic leadership, but it actually went up a net of 13.7% under 26 years of Republican presidencies. Across the years of Democratic leadership, black poverty has actually declined under Democrats by a net of 23.6 percentage points, but it has actually grown by 3 percentage points when Republicans occupied the White House. So that's a historical perspective. Let me give you another perspective because I think you're pro death penalty, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I read that. Now let me read another stat. If you're pro death penalty, brother, I want you to just consider something. Because usually we say, hey, the death penalty is to be a deterrent to crime, especially those violent murders, right? Premeditated homicide. But the reality is, the data shows it doesn't really deter crime like people think. During the last 20 years, a recent survey was done, and I can send this to you, brother. The homicide rate in states with the death penalty has been 48 to 101% higher than states without the death penalty. So states without the death penalty are doing something to deter these particular death penalty crimes more so than states with the death penalty.
But I think for some of us, it's not about whether it's a deterrent or not.
It's revenge, right? It's say what it is, brother. It's revenge, correct?
No.
Oh, come on, man. That's what it really is. Come on, man.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. For me, first of all, if you are going to administer the death penalty, whether it's through lethal injection or firing squad, you should be absolutely 100% certain that that person committed that crime. If there's any doubt, even a fraction of it, it should weigh with the accuser. Let me say that first. You know, when I look at what continues to happen in society and why people kill and kidnap and rape and destroy families and lives for no reason at all, my attitude is this: at least if you put that person to sleep forever, they will not have the opportunity to commit that crime again. That's for me. And I also think the family should have some say-so in that. If the family says this is what the penalty should be, because they're the ones who are affected by it the most. But for me in my household, if someone committed the kind of acts that we read about today, put them to death. So you make sure that that person does not commit that kind of heinous crime again.
I got you. I
don't think prisons do a great job of reforming people. I think sometimes they come out, they're more angry and worse than they were before.
Yeah, I agree that there are some people that should be locked away forever, but you can't have a policy that's antithetical to your belief. The belief is thou shalt not kill, right? You should not commit murder. You should not kill out of revenge. But then the policy says under a particular circumstance, you can't actually kill people. Armstrong, lock them up, throw away the key, brother, because the states that do that have a lower rate of these murders.
Brother, have you read the Bible? And what the Bible?
Oh yeah, I mean the Bible's tough, brother. The Bible also says that it is an abomination to burn incense, brother. And I burn incense, so I guess I'm an abomination, brother.
Brother, we pick and choose what works for us in the Bible and other things. We know how that works, right? That works.
Exactly.
That works.
Armstrong, I'm flat out of time, brother, but it has been a pleasure chopping it up with you on some of these topics, man. Thank you.
We're not too far apart.
Now we're really not. We're really not, man. But on some stuff, hell yeah.
Yes, that's okay. But we can be civil and respectful and learn from each other. That's what it's
right,
about.
Man. I appreciate you being on the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.